You can get either.
Hey, friends and family, this is Dick and Sharon back with Hollywood Progressive this time. This past weekend, we saw a really hard-hitting, difficult play called Breathe, playing at the Mark Theater, the new theater on Lankershim in North Hollywood. The basic story is terribly familiar and yet utterly alien to most of us. How often have we heard in the news about some young man involved in a horrible shooting, and that we can't even put our mind in what's going on in his head? And yet, this play also brings us close to what goes on with the parents who are surprised when their son has been involved in something like that. What'd you think?
Well, I just want to comment on a word you used, a situation that's unfamiliar to most of us. And the thing that's kind of ironic is just a few days before you and I went to this play, we had a visitor at our home who was telling us about his son and an encounter he had that was very violent with
Right.
other teenage boys. So while this kind of the theme of this play doesn't enter our lives that often, it enters the lives of so many, and partly because we don't have sane gun control laws. So what did I think of the play? I thought that it is absolutely worth seeing and worth seeing again. The play touched on so many important social issues. They don't really go into gun control at all, but some of the other social issues that are addressed are the relationships with parents and teenage boys or young adolescent, 20-year-old boys, that they really need parental support, guidance, and involvement. And what happens to teenagers these days when they don't have that? It talks about other issues that deal with the intersection between class and race. Here you have on one side a Black family, and on the other side a white family. And it was actually one side of the stage was dedicated to the living room of the Black family, and the other side of the stage was dedicated to the living room of the white family. And I thought that the usage of the stage and the tools that I guess it would be the director or the producer used, these tools of creating this bifurcated stage and showing how Black mom and dad versus white mom and dad are dealing with a very similar issue, teenage boys, and those teenage boys happen to be sharing a cell. Now, you can go ahead and add some more so that those who are listening to this, it can make sense for them.
So a central part of the play starts in a jail cell where the two young boys are incarcerated, angry at each other, maybe because of racial differences, maybe because their lives have suddenly been turned on their head. And over the course of the play, in part through their shared love of rap music, which they perform together, they come to have a certain bond with each other, a certain explanation. I guess what I was saying, when I hear about these shootings in the news, it's alien to me in the fact that I can't put my head inside that. I mean, I have some experience with guns in the army, but I can't really imagine what's going on with a person's head when they shoot like that. But I can absolutely put my mind in the heads of the parents, both the Black parents and the white parents, because I have a daughter and you have a son, and we can imagine. I can't imagine our son and daughter or your son and daughter using guns in that way, but we have concern that the bad things could be happening to them, traffic accidents. So we can utterly feel for the two sets of parents, and what a horrible blow, and especially because they thought they were raising outstanding students who'd never been in trouble, so it was an utter shock to them.
Yeah, that's right. So I want to talk about the performances of the six actors, which I thought was utterly outstanding. The two young men, which you've mentioned them, and I want to mention them again because even though they're a little older than teenagers themselves in real life. They play the teenager very well, and I have been the mother of teenagers, and you the father of teenagers. To begin with, Joseph Russell Proctor, who plays the young African American who has been arrested. And what struck me, and I have to admit that I've experienced similar situations actually in my own family with young male teenagers who don't fully have an appreciation for the weight of the decisions that they make. In fact, I don't think any teenagers have an appreciation for how a single decision that they make at 15, 16 years old could possibly impact them for their entire lives. I think that they lack the capacity to get it. And this young man, this actor, Joseph Russell Proctor, really inhabited the being of a teenager. We later talked to him afterwards and learned that he was 21 years old. So it hasn't been that long. It's maybe 2 or 3 years since he was a teenager. But his he has some sort of bravado, how the young male he tried to act tough in the cell, but clearly he's a boy who has made a monumental effed up decision. And then the other young boy actor, a young man, we didn't get to ask him how old he was. His name is Cody Seacrest or Seachrist, and he's a classically trained actor with over 16 years of experience, according to the playbill. He did as well a job as Joseph Russell Proctor, but what Cody did that was a little bit different, he played this role of being a white young man in a prison where what was conveyed through Joseph Russell Proctor was that he was outnumbered. This young white man was outnumbered. So while Joseph Russell Proctor is terrified, Cody Seacrest, these are the actors, these are not the characters that they're playing, but they play the emotions so well. And Cody Seacrest is scared to death.
Right. Right. So the familiarity of this is partly what makes it such an interesting play, and also the skill of the six actors was outstanding. It was, you leave the theater uh, closer to what's going on in the real world, and the horrible things that go on around gun violence and general violence in our society, and how it washes over us, and yet we don't seem to be able to do much to stem it.
So I want to talk a little bit about the moms. So Marie Francois Theodore, she plays the Black mother, and Andrea M. Anderson plays the white mom. And one thing that I thought was so successfully captured by both of these women is the Black mom seemed to be focused, like laser-like focused on her son, almost as if she was already prepared for something like this to happen. Whereas the white mom, who, by the way, is married to a police officer, is in denial. She does not want to hear, no, this can't be possible. This can't be happening to us. But the Black mom she's walking lockstep. She's got a plan. She's going to try to do her best to show her son that no matter what, she is in his corner, and she does it so beautifully. And the white mom does a great job too, the actress. And these actresses' names, which I've already mentioned, Andrea M. Anderson and Marie Francois Theodore. Wonderful, wonderful performances. If I was to give one criticism, and I did have one criticism of this play, I felt that it was entirely too long. They had some very successful ways of keeping you engaged with the use of rap and the split screen where you could see what was going on in the Black family's living room, the white family's living room. They would go back in time, and they did it very successfully. So that could kind of keep you engaged. And just the whole story is a great story. but it could have been done, I think, and they could have cut off at least 25 to 30% at the time.
Yeah, another, as we've touched on, another part was playing the differences between the Black family and the white family and how it impacted them and how the parents reacted. She talked about the mothers, but the fathers also reacted differently. The police officer, he had shown his very young son how to handle a gun, and here it was some years later, that young son indeed handled a gun. This another piece of this. This is a brand new theater, apparently, a brand new Black theater, uh, uh, trying to gain a foothold in the Los Angeles theater scene. And this coming weekend is the last three. There's performances Friday, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon. If you want to support Black theater, this would be a good place to start.
Absolutely. Now, let me just finish by talking about the two dads. Ja Shams played the Black father, and Brian DeMarco played the white father. And for me, I was less able to identify with being a father, what it feels like to be a father of a young man who has done something like this. The Black father, in fact, the mothers were more protective of their sons. The Black father didn't even want to visit his son. I imagine the father himself, was just terrified. Perhaps he had more insight into what his son could possibly be experiencing behind bars. I don't know, but he just could not he could not find it within himself to see his son until later on, and then even then his performance showed how difficult it was. Great performances again by both fathers.
I think the fathers took more guilt away from it. They felt more responsible for what their sons had done because of their own work lives and their just they thought that their sons' actions were a reflection on their own manhood, and they couldn't hardly absorb that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, so we do recommend you see it. We recommend you for the play and to help this theater get off the ground.
So one thing I will say about the Mark Theater, it's at 5144 Lancashire Boulevard in North Hollywood. It was difficult for us to find it online. It's a relatively new theater, and there's the search engine optimization made it difficult to find. Google didn't exactly know where it was, but it's a lovely theater. We had a great afternoon, and we highly recommend that you go to see Breathe. The last performance is next weekend, and today is Wednesday, October the 29th. So whatever the dates are for the next weekend, it's the Mark Theater in North Hollywood.
And there was a good ribs joint on the corner.
Oh, yeah, right next door.
Right.
Yeah.
So thank you, folks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for sticking around. If you like the LA Progressive content and the discussions we have here, please consider clicking the subscribe button below, and also give us a thumbs up. That helps to grow our audience by feeding the algorithm, which helps to get this content in front of more eyes. Thanks for stopping by. We really appreciate your support.